how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Dan Sehn. How you doing, Dan?
Yeah, it's going good, going good.
Oh, good, good. Glad to see you. For those of you, I always try to treat each video as if it's somebody's first time. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are?
All right, I'm Dan Sehn, and I am the publisher of Argo Comics and our Thunder Zone Comics imprint, which is actually the imprint that's putting out two new books on Kickstarter. So beyond, discussing my other publications, I'm here to, of course, promote that a bit. But yeah, I've been publishing since about 2006, I believe, and been up and down the con circuit a bit. And then, Kickstarter started up, and we went that route with some good success, and been publishing, I'd say, two titles regularly in that time, Argo 5 and Sorority of Power. And those are books created and written by myself and artistic collaborators. But then the Thunder Zone line kind of branched out in that it is other creators, their creator-owned books, all collected together in one universe. So somewhat akin to the early Image universe, where they had their superheroes crossing over.
Right.
And, like I said, these are two new titles in the Kickstarter to showcase two new heroes that are being added to that universe.
Well, before I show, I got the link in the description. I got the link in the description, and then in the chat stream, I put the link to your Kickstarter for your current campaign. I figured we enthrall the viewers with a little bit of history. So Dan and I actually have history together. We've known each other now for, I got to say, since what, the 80s, 90s?
Yeah, I mean, myself and our friend Cameron, we were going to the Incredible Pulp. I have to say it was high school probably. So that probably, to date myself, is about probably 83 or so we started.
Yeah. So the Incredible Pulp was our local friendly comic book store owned by Larry. And I remember seeing the Incredible Pulp. It was in one location that was like right around the block from me. And man, was I excited to see that store. And when the day it opened, I borrowed my friend's Tommy's bicycle and I rode to the comic book store, threw the bike on the ground, and with 800 other bicycles, went inside, looked at comic books, and then walked home, and Tommy's bicycle got stolen. So
wow.
on the first day of the Incredible Pulp.
Right on Grand Avenue, huh?
Right on Grand Avenue. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. In actuality, with Cameron, we were like best friends since first grade. Already talking comics in first grade. And I guess in our neighborhood, we were in neighboring cities on Long Island, a comic store actually Heroes World, which was a distribution center, had a store in, I think, Levittown, and it was in the Levittown Mall, I believe. So that was like the first taste I ever had of a comic store.
Okay.
And that was like a half-hour drive, so I'd have to, bug my father to drive me down there. But in our neighborhood, Franklin Square, we had a special edition, and that was like the first local comic shop. And I think myself and Cameron were in junior high at that point, and they had a glass counter with all the earliest Marvel comics, Hulk #1, X-Men #1, all that. So we were quite enthralled by that. And
you speak of the devil, and the devil pops up.
There he is.
Yeah, Cam. So Cam is he's never been on the channel. I've been inviting Cam on to come on and talk for a while now. As much as I think I know about comic books, Cam knows more. Just a guy walking encyclopedia. And as far as like I talk about music and stuff like that, Cam runs circles around me about pretty much any topic.
Yeah, no, he is a pop culture enthusiast to the highest degree.
Yeah.
So we were going to that special edition store, as Cameron will recall, with Rich and Joe at the counter. It was actually also a video store where they rented VHS tapes and had actually albums and music. The two brothers there, Joe was the more music aficionado. And then at some point, that store closed.
Oh my God, that must have been Cam's greatest store ever. Music
Oh,
and comics.
Yeah, we were loving that place. And then we ended up, when that place closed down, I don't know if there was a Gap, but we ended up at the Pulp, which was, just a Southern State Parkway, 3 exits away, pretty much. And yourself, Larry, and Mike managing. It was a fantastic store.
Yeah, it was a good place. Here you go. You mention people's names and they show up. You said Mike and Mike. Now say Kate Upton. Let's see if she shows up. See if you could keep summoning people. Yeah, the Incredible Pulp. It's funny because a couple of weeks ago, I had Dan and Mike and myself. We went to a diner, had like a mini Incredible Pulp reunion. You're in Florida now, so sorry. I guess your invitation didn't make it, but the guys are still involved. And I keep joking that I want to get Larry. Larry was the owner of this comic book store that, now that I'm thinking back on it, it was ahead of its time. I mean, Larry had Dave Sim at the store at the signing back when, like, I think Cerberus was like in its single digits. He invited Dave Sim to the store. He had a couple of people showing up like in 1984, and then what's his? I can't remember his name, but the guy who runs CGC was a regular guy at the Incredible Pulp. Kim, I'm sure, remembers his name. The guy who does the comic grading service.
Yeah, no, I know a coworker of mine was friends with him, and I didn't think of his
name. It's escaping me.
I didn't know him particularly myself, but
yeah, he used to come in. I worked it because it was like Cheers, but comic books. Like everyone's Steve. Yeah, I know. I was waiting for yep, Mike. Steve Borak. Yeah, I remember he would come in. He worked in Manhattan, like in a diamond, or gold. I forget exactly what, like either making jewelry or whatever. And then he went and I remember him telling me about it, and I kept my mouth shut because I was polite, and I'm thinking this will never catch on.
Wants to seal their comics up where you can never get to them again.
Right. I'm still philosophically against the idea. Kevin, here's another one who knows everything. I wasn't in Long Island, but my first comic was Hero World in Colorado. Yeah. So the Incredible Pulp, I have a lot of nostalgia for it, but now that I'm seeing, like, yourself came out of it, you've been publishing comics for 20 years now. The CGC came out of it. Larry was having in-store appearances back at like in 82, 83. We were wee little kids at this point. And I joke that I want to have Larry come over and Mike and Dan and do like a My Dinner with Andre type video of listening to Larry talk about comic books.
But Larry also did carry a good number of independent comics.
Right. Larry was very, he read his Marvels, he read his DCs, but he turned me on to things like Love and Rockets. I remember when Mr. X came out, he was like, you got to read Mr. X. And that was the first published work of the Hernandez brothers. And then I rolled right into Love and Rockets. And, I remember he was into Bean World, a comic that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. And then finally I said, I was getting nostalgic. I had Mike and Dan over, and I picked up Bean World thinking about Larry, and now I love it. So there he is. Very, very influential story. I would offer Rick Stork his new books at Doral Golden Freeport. Okay. Yeah. So you were shopping in the Incredible Pulp. I was working probably, I worked the shortest. I went and I got a job at the phone company. So I was only there for a few months, and Mike stayed there for years. He was running the Pulp for a while. And see, if I remember you, like I went away. In '93 I left. I went to New Mexico. So you and I and Cam kind of lost touch around that point. And I remember going to a comic convention in Garden City in the Cradle of Aviation Museum, and
Yeah.
you were there behind your table, and that's when I found out that you were with the Argo 5 and Argo Comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a bit. That, you know, I was like, oh my God, you know, a guy from the pulp is making his own comics. That was how I found out about it. You know, I just walked up to you cold.
Yeah. I was doing that show and New York Comic Con, and you know, I mean, traveling gets a little pricey. Uh, you know, going to like Heroes Con or Chicago or you know all these other shows. So after a while, I started just trying to you know manage costs and stay at the more local shows. And that was a great show, actually. You know, very close by, good amount of parking, and
And they still do it. They still
interesting
have,
exhibits.
yeah.
But yeah, Argo 5, I actually
There you go.
have a copy right here. This is issue 42.
Wow, you're up to 42?
Yeah, so, you know, kept it rolling. The move to Florida slowed me down a little bit, but I'm, you know, back on track, and actually 43
So when did you move?
just came out, beginning of the year.
Okay. All right.
But with so many collectibles from the pulp and the comic stores that followed, there was like 3 big pods of stuff to move, and you know the packing and unpacking and doing everything like that really kind of took me a little bit out of the game. I was still actually being published through Antarctic Press. They were publishing some of my material in their Exciting Comics publication, and I did have a couple releases that I had done previously and already submitted, so those came out. So it didn't really seem like I was gone, but I was kind of gone. And to answer this question, I drew the first issue of Argo 5, but I did recognize the fact that my artistic speed would not enable me to publish with any regularity. So, in that respect, I quickly moved on to just be the writer, the publisher, the editor, the letterer. You
Oh,
know,
that's it? That's all you do? That's it?
yeah, enough hats to wear. Uh, and I started collaborating with other artists in that respect. So I'll draw, and again, that was something to do at conventions at a convention table, uh, you know, because often there are a good amount of convention goers who are there to celebrate their favorite characters. Some are open to seeing new heroes and characters, and they'll look at your books, but there are a good number of people who want a commission of Wolverine or something. So in that respect, the art skills helped cover table cost
Yeah,
at
yeah.
those times.
Yeah, Cam says you hire some great artists, and the book always looks good and it's fun to read. Yeah, so but your comic wasn't always crowdfunded. It wasn't always. It was distributed through Diamond and everything. You could pick it up in comic stores.
Diamond was mostly the Antarctic material.
Right.
I was going on print on demand simply because I was working full-time job, so it was easier just to have the print on demand, print them out as people ordered them, and mail them to them. So Indie Planet is still the publisher for Argo 5. I'm still not really. Here's another title I had, the Argo Comics Double Shot. So I have a number of titles. I have about, I think, 80 books up on Indie Planet. And if you just search Argo Comics on Indie Planet, those will all come up.
Send me a link through Twitter, and I'll put it in the description how they could get your back catalog if people are interested.
Okay.
Yeah. I you know, like I said, I've known Dan for, gosh, 40 years, you know what I mean? And I'd love to see him sell some comics, and rising tide floats all boats, you know what I mean? If we can get comics to everybody's hands, this world would be a better place, if you ask me. Everybody read comics. Well, anybody watching this is reading comics, let's be real.
Yeah, no, we're preaching to the choir, perhaps, but
Yeah, preaching to the choir. Yeah. So yeah, you were a little kid reading comics. What were some of your favorite comics as a wee one?
uh, well, yeah, the earliest memories I can remember with comics is DC Comics,
Oh, okay.
which would appeal, I guess, to most kids. Um, and Superman, the Superman and Batman, George Reeves, Adam West reruns
Yeah, those are
were
great.
always on. Uh, so that even before being able to read, kind of gets you in on it. Uh, and then, yeah, I of course very early on, I don't know, probably 5 or 6, branched into Marvel. So maybe at 3 or 4, I was strictly a DC guy, but then at the mature age of 5 or 6, you have to
Oh wow, yeah.
move into Marvel.
I was a full on Marvel guy until Crisis on Infinite Earths. I remember Mike D in the chat
Mhm.
was always trying to get me to read like Legion of Superheroes, and I'd be like Bouncing Boy Mike, Lightning Lad Mike, and Mike,
Matter Eater Lad, come on,
yeah, Matter Eater Lad,
classic
and he's
character.
like the goofy names, good comic, and he's absolutely right, goofy
Yeah,
names, good, yeah, good
I
comics.
mean, in actuality, uh, as I progressed, most of my favorite characters are in Marvel, but I'd still probably may lean towards DC, but I mean, my favorite character in DC is Superman,
Yeah,
and I
Superman's my
like
favorite
Ultra
of all
Boy
time.
actually from the Legion. But then most of my other favorite characters, like Hercules, Wonder Man, Colossus, Doc Samson, they're all Marvel characters.
Oh, you like
Uh,
the big strong guys, huh?
yeah, yeah, I got into weightlifting back in the day, so that always resonated. Guys who can bench a ton of weight,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I remember you were always the big guy. Yeah.
yeah, well, it was like actually, I think a Muscle magazine, Muscle and Fitness in 1979 had Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk on the cover. So that was like a comic book bodybuilding crossover that got me kind of hooked into weight training.
Okay, yeah, I remember that you were the big guy that would joke around coming sideways through the front door.
Yeah, now the pulp was a great
Yeah, it was
store
a
though, and that is like I was saying before, is what kind of probably initially, as far as I can recall, got me towards the independent comics because, like you're saying, Larry's recommendations of these titles. Perhaps that's why I knew that he was the one who let me know that it was Jaime Hernandez rather than Jamie. So, it was uh, probably discovering that book over there and that, the fantastic title. Um, and then me and Cam would occasionally go into Manhattan and make a little circuit of like St. John's
oh, big
Comics
store.
and Forbidden Planet and all these other comic stores out there. And you discover a lot of indie titles over there as well.
Yeah, so many good stores in Manhattan. Yeah, we grew up in a good place to be comic fans. I mean,
Sure.
I was the electrician at Marvel for a little while.
Oh, really?
And then
Okay.
I thought that gave me clout, and I went to the DC, and I was just like, showing my union card and the fact that I worked for Marvel, and they were like, we don't care. They didn't give me a tour.
Really?
I thought they would. I thought that would get me inside to at least walk around, but nope.
Did you get into the waiting area where they have a Clark Kent sitting there or
Yeah,
something?
that's what I got.
Okay.
That's as far as I got with DC. But Marvel, I got to go all over the place because I had to run wires.
So if Tony Stark was sitting there saying, "My armor, what happened to the power? That was you?"
Yeah, I was going to flip some circuit breakers, give Tony some power.
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry was the owner. He would yeah, some of his tastes would get very esoteric. Like I remember, like Bean World was one of them that he was pushing up. The Jam was one of his favorite comics. I still don't like the Jam, even though I picked it up. Here's a funny thing. Larry told me to get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, and I had it in my hand, and I looked at Larry and I said, "Are you kidding me?" And I put it down, and I never bought it.
Wow. Could have had it.
Yeah,
You
I
said,
know.
"I'm going with these radioactive hamsters instead."
Yeah, I got that. I got that. but I
Too
never got.
little, too late.
Yeah, I was like infuriated that they were making fun of not just comics, but they were making fun of the X-Men and they were making fun of Frank Miller. I was like, this is not right. Like I was all, so I put, and I never, and I still have never read a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic because I'm bitter. I'm bitter that way. You know, like $180,000 comic right now. It was in my hand, you know.
You'll be filled with regret. Yeah, well,
It sounds like Dan
the,
likes a lot of the second banana, Wonder Man, Doc Samson. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
yeah.
My friend Mike is the world's biggest Wonder Man fan.
Oh, okay.
And the worse the Wonder Man costume, the more Mike likes him.
You gotta love that red jacket. I don't care what anyone says.
Yep,
That is a unique look. There's already a bunch of guys running around in spandex. You got a guy in a big red safari jacket
and bad sunglasses
and red shades when you're styling.
If you get that, Kevin says, if I got electrocuted at Marvel, that would, oh my God, that's the perfect origin. Too bad I was a good electrician and never got hurt. Okay, Cam is giving me okay, it's only $150,000 mistake. Oh, whew, I feel better. Okay, all right, yeah, now I could sleep at night.
Yeah, I don't think I don't recall myself or Cam talking turtles back in the day either. So you know,
yeah,
we missed the boat on that one also.
There's go back in time, pick up a couple of those turtle comics, buy Bitcoin. You know, if I could go back in time. Oh, and Andrea liked you stupid idiot. Those are the three mistakes that I would fix.
we could have piled up on the Hulk 181s. We would have known.
Yeah. I remember the pulp. If I don't think you were there at the time, but there was a different Larry that opened up the pulp and then he sold it to our Larry.
Yeah.
And he had a glass counter, the original Larry, and he had Uncanny X-Men #1. He had Amazing Fantasy 15 and Fantastic Four #1 right next to each other in a glass counter, $60 a piece.
Really?
I remember looking at this going, man, who would ever spend $60 on a comic book? What a stupid kid I was. And I remember I just had my communion, so I had like $300 on me. I could have bought them all. So Cam, figure out that. You're keeping track of my mathematical errors. Tell me how much I lost out on that.
Oh, yeah, how much did he lose out from not buying comics from Earth 2 Larry?
oh yeah, the Earth 2 Larry. Is that what they called him?
Yeah, because he's the original Larry, and then
Earth 2, the original Larry.
Yeah. Larry, who I knew.
That's funny. That is really funny. Earth 2 Larry. I never heard that. That is awesome.
But yeah, you can always count on a good comic over there, and then to run across the street for Burger King.
Yep. How many times did you go there and be back in 5 minutes, and Larry would come walking across the street with a bag of Burger King?
There you go. You could watch the store for him.
Yeah, it was a good place to be a kid. It was fun, and unlike a lot of comic book stores, when we went in there, Larry would talk with us. We would hang out. I remember bringing my role playing stuff, and we would play role playing games with Larry while he was, customers were coming in. It was everything you've ever wanted in a comic book store. It was a great. I do miss it.
Yeah, I know from your videos that you were into the D&D and was going to make miniatures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Myself, Cameron, and our friend Mike, we played D&D, but I'm not so sure we had the patience to read through all the rules. So I'm not sure how authentic our gameplay was. But we did the character sheets, and we had Mike most of the time as the dungeon master, and we had the books. We at least had the books, but. That Deities and Demigods was still one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, I did it. One of my first videos is on that book.
Yeah,
I don't know. I played D&D. Matter of fact, I first saw D&D at Mike's house. I just went to his house one day, and his older brothers were playing, and I was the annoying younger kid just sitting there going, "Wow, what is this? What is this?" Asking a million, and you could see that they were getting annoyed. It was one of Mike's older brother's friends was running the game.
Okay,
and then we went camping and we all played Dungeons and Dragons. And again, did we play by the rules? Probably not. Did we have fun? You bet we did. And I remember a few times playing with Mike running the game. I wonder, I can't remember that far, but I wonder if me, you, and Cam and Mike ever played. Ever made up characters and sat down.
No, I don't think so. I think we only
I don't think so either.
Played in Cam's basement with Mike,
Oh, I
our
really,
other friend Mike, as that was Mike Earth 2. He came before Mike D.
yeah.
Yeah, Mike Earth 2. He was a dungeon master again, another grade school friend. Uh, Having all of us gone to the same grade school, so yeah, he again. We had the books, we had the Dungeon Master Guide, we had the, you know, certain things for it. Did the character sheets. In actuality, one of the characters I had as a paladin, Ultra the Paladin. I carried that name Ultra over to the Argo Comics universe and made a not a paladin character, but a superhero with that name. So
That's cool. Yeah, that stuff stays with us forever.
sure,
Do you remember Villains and Vigilantes?
I do remember that. Again, never branched out into that.
Oh, you never played? Because Mike and I used to play, and I still play. I still run a game with Mike.
Okay.
Since he's had kids, it's harder for him to come over. But I still, right here in my basement, we play, and I'm making a comic myself, and it's a lot of it I'm pulling out of characters. I asked Mike if I could use one of his characters as a cameo, but Mike's character, Marshall Strong, he's in one of your comics or will be in one of your comics.
He is slated, like the current Kickstarter is again Thunder Zone, which is a creator-owned imprint in Argo Comics.
I'll put it up right now since you're talking about it.
Okay. So that is Dragon Manx on the left-hand side.
Okay.
And Chronicles of the Metaversal on the right-hand side. So those are two books by two different creators. Okay. Sergio Waddell Willis creating Dragon Manx, and Ezekiel Habib creating Chronicles of the Metaversal. And in actuality, with Dragon Manx, Sergio has somewhat of a YouTube series with the character. Okay, so this is the first time for him branching into comics.
Okay, cool.
And Ezekiel on the right, he is a professional wrestler in Singapore. So that's his actual stage or in-ring gear that the character is wearing. So that's him in his comic book adventures. So these are kind of two, I'm not going to say adaptations of real life into comics, perhaps, but Thunder Zone Comics, we have so we have Argo Comics, imprint, Thunder Zone Comics, then we have a side shoot of that with Thunder Zone Studios. And,
it's like this Wildstorm, then, it's an imprint within Argo.
Well, it's like within this 20 years of making comics, or not quite 20, but getting there.
I can't believe
I've worked with a number of artists, colorists. My most valuable tool or position, I think of myself as editor. So that is how I got, about 100 comics self-published, by, being able to lay things out, stick to a plan, get the pages in, keep things organized. So as an editor, that's probably my strongest point. So with these two creators, being first-time comic creators, I was able to take their stories, and even if they weren't completely in comic book script form, where it's like Mary had a little lamb, and then I'm converting that into panel one, establishing shot of the field with Mary sitting on her tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Being able to translate that into a comic, that's where Thunder Zone Studios comes in.
Cool.
Where it isn't automatic that we're going to publish the comic. I have to see if it fits within the line. I can assure that the quality is there because I'm, you know, in the creative process with the writer, so I can assure the quality, but I also want to just make sure that it fits within the line.
Yeah, so you're Jim Shooter over here. You're cracking the whip and getting comics published.
I am, I'm trying. I'm not going to scrap every. I don't want to scrap the Argo Comics universe and start this as the new universe. So I'm not Jim Shooter in that respect, where I'm scrapping my old one and bringing in the new. But I am, putting. I guess this is more like the Epic line, where we have their creator-owned.
So I'm going to scroll down.
Okay.
You tell me when to stop. You tell me what you want.
Yeah, probably people want to see pictures. There's the cover A for Dragon Manx, and the comic involves a vampire, the adventurer, who's based on the writer to some degree, and we have a superhero there, Captain Liberia. So, and it's the Teddy Bear Wars. So it appears that these magical teddy bears are abducting kids, and I don't want to spoil and everything, but that's a little bit of what's going on in the cover there. I think we have cover B right below that.
Okay. Yeah, you tell me to continue on. I don't want to cut you off or anything.
Featuring the big bad there, and again, the two characters, Goyenji and our vampire character. So those are that's cover B. And then if you go down, we get to Chronicles of the Metaversal, where we see again in the middle Meta, who is, this predates kind of like.
I resent you putting me in your comic as a Nazi.
Well, luckily
I try to be good.
Luckily, you stopped dyeing your beard blonde, so we can, where we can avoid a lawsuit in that respect. But that is, actually, the big bad in this book, and he has a whole crew of villains. And in actuality, Meta, the wrestler over in Singapore, was able to arrange for appearances from some of his wrestling co-workers within the book. And we also have some like twists and turns that are somewhat unexpected. But Damian Walburn, who is actually also a creator in the Thunder Zone, he lent his character in here as well. So we, again, trying to make it a cohesive universe. So we're bringing in different creators in that respect.
Oh, so this is an alternate cover?
That's an alternate cover where we, again, it's wrestling, and we have a ring girl because it seems that people do like to have a cheesecake variant.
Yeah, a little bit of cheesecake never hurt no one.
Yeah. So we're not, you can see two male leads. We're not leaning into the current trend of, I guess, babes and boobs and stuff, which is apparently finding great success on Kickstarter. But, we're not opposed to that content completely. So, sprinkle it in. There's a cover there where people can have their own character on a variant cover. So those will be limited to the backers who back that level, and they'll have that isn't the actual layout, but that's just an example showing that we'll have people able to back at that level and get their character on a custom cover. And then we have preview pages of Dragon Manx.
Oh, look at this. I like that. That is cool.
Yeah, Alexander Coelho is the artist on that, and I've he did a Sumo Boy series, which was running through Antarctic Press's Exciting Comics, and I'll be publishing those issues individually. And Tio Piniero doing the colors on that. So,
yeah, I like the colors.
Yeah, it's a really strong combination. And again, these are creators I worked with in Argo Comics, so I knew of their,
So you have a
talent
history
level.
with these creators. That's cool. That's cool.
Exactly. That's still Dragon Manx pages.
Okay, yeah, they're all. Yeah, that looks like you got a lot completed. That's great for crowdfunding. Is to show that you have finished pages. Let people know what they're expecting. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's the Metaverse, Chronicles of Metaversal. So you can see we're starting out in a wrestling ring where he's wrestling an opponent, just so people could catch on to that, because that's, of course, a main component of the story. So,
Circuit Jerk.
yeah, that's the
That's
villain.
a great name.
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, he's got a joy buzzer. All right. Did he get it?
Jardel Cruz does the art on this, and again, he's done stories for me on Sorority of Power and Impact International, so I knew he was a good fit for this book. I can kind of see where the writer's story is going, think to the artist styles of the artist who I've, have relationships with, and there's actually the villains kind of
Okay, I'm checking out their names.
spelled out.
Cool.
Gestapo is
I love when all the villains meet around a table and discuss their nefarious plans. I just, it's such a good trope. It works. There's a reason.
Yeah, it's kind of Legion of Doomish, right?
Yeah,
So,
Legion of Doom.
yeah.
I don't know why the word was escaping my brain. I just, in my dotted, I'm forgetting things. I'm getting wrapped up in the comic. I like this. So the wrestler's going to take him out. Oh, and here's pictures of the actual creative team.
Yeah. So,
there you
as
go.
I said, Sergio writing. We have Alexander doing the art. This was for Dragon Manx. Tio doing the colors, and myself lettering and editing. And then we went into Ezekiel. So yeah, everyone who goes to the Facebook page can read this. Jardel, well, we had Beto up there as the colorist. And now we have a couple books that are new to Kickstarter. Again, I was serializing them in Exciting Comics, so I was really not releasing them for a wide release. Nature Man, which is I wrote this one, bringing back public domain character Nature Boy, created by Jerry Siegel
Okay.
and John Buscema. So Nature Boy was published in the 40s and kind of disappeared. So I'm bringing him back. He's to the current day as Nature Man. The story of his being missing and coming back.
Cool.
Kind of all popped in with issue 1, which is a add-on if anyone's interested in that. But this is issue 2 of that. Zilson Costa doing the writing, Giuseppe Pica doing the colors.
Cool.
And Francisco Zamora doing the lettering. So this title I'm pretty happy with, and it's a 4-issue series. Looking forward to getting all those out. But yeah, that's issue 2, and then issue 2 of Supercross, which is another book actually from Singapore, Jerry Hines, who has worked for DC actually. This is his creator-owned book, Supercross, and it involves superheroes from Singapore, and he's doing his own art in that. So he's a writer-artist.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. This is a splash page. This is the first page. Cool.
Yeah.
I did. The colors are really good.
Yeah, you said, a preview to show that some of the book is done. In actuality, I'd say 99% of these books are done, but we need that crowdfunding for the printing, for the shipping,
Right. Yeah.
um, to be able to put them into people's hands. So here's a level we have where all the new titles for people who already backed the past Kickstarters, those are all the new titles in one level where they can get Dragon Man's Chronicles of Metaversal, Nature Man 2, and Supercross 2 all in one shot.
Okay. One-stop shopping, everybody.
Yeah, if you scroll down, there's for the people who are new to us completely in Kickstarter, they can get all our past titles. There's a level for that. We have actually early bird specials on the two main titles and then the complete catch up. So those are ending midnight tonight. So anyone looking to back, you probably best to just jump in on that. Even if you have to adjust your pledge later to a different level, you can get the early birds up to midnight tonight and then they'll go away. So we have a level just for that was commissions that different artists will do.
Oh, okay. That's I was scrolling too far ahead.
Yeah, Patron of the Arts. That's a level where we have six digital commissions done by 6 artists who I've all worked with. That's examples of their work.
Oh, so you commission, so you could get them to draw whatever you want.
If you want 6
cool.
Daredevils, then you're getting 6 Daredevils. You got 6 of your own Captain Broccoli. We'll do 6 Captain Broccolis.
Or you've heard about my Captain Broccoli, the famous.
Yeah, well, one Captain Broccoli, one character somewhat based on a Superman character that I know someone between the two of us is working on. So yeah, any character you want, 6 different characters, whatever. These are just
missions. You could make your own comic. Have you published your own comic?
Well, again, these 2 books Thunder Zone Studios made. So if that's something someone has an interest in, you're a writer, and you don't have an artist, you don't know how to create the right file types, you're non-contacted with a colorist, you need a letterer. I mean, overall, it's going to be a more economical solution to have it done this way. Yeah. Because again,
I'm learning just how expensive it is.
Yeah, it is expensive. And I've just been dealing with these artists for a number of years. They've been doing a lot of work for me. So there's a volume discount involved that, I'm able to pass that on to a writer by having them do everything in-house with Thunder Zone Studios. So, yeah, that is a level that we can't offer many of those because it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the end of the page. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, the link is in the description, and you can check that out and pledge. And you said you have till midnight tonight to get that catch-up tier?
The early birds.
Early birds.
The catch-up tier is going to be there, but it's just a reduced price for a reduced price. I think I don't know if you're able to scroll on the right there. I'm pointing to the screen like you can see that.
Oh, this.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I didn't know I could do that either.
If you go downward, there's the early bird. Okay, so that'll go away at midnight.
Okay.
Eastern time. Then it just, the regular levels there is just, you're just paying
the new release level
slightly more. Yeah. And that's with the variant covers.
Cool.
Variant cover level. But there's the catch-up. Well,
right here. Okay.
Yeah, that's the catch-up. But there's an early bird, reduced price for that. And then it just bumps a little bit more if you're not within the first 24 hours.
Okay. Patron of the Arts, creator Kickstarter. Cool. You got something there for everybody. I like it.
Exactly. We want to create different, levels for everyone's different needs. All the past Thunder Zone books are available as add-ons. So, you do have the first Supercross as well as that second one, Junkyard Joe, Subject Alpha. So every book that we have, yeah, if you scroll back down a little.
Where do you want me to go to here?
Yeah, right there. So,
Okay, got it.
yeah, Nature Man 1 and 2 are both available. Supercross 1 and 2 are both available. The Squad by Nigel Flood, that is available. Defenders of Europe. I mentioned all the others, but those are all available as add-ons, as well as one title I don't have on there, Big House Blues, which was a title that I created. It was in Exciting Comics. It is a supervillain prison with superheroes as
Oh, that's a good idea.
corrections officers or security guards. So, yeah, that I had a Kickstarter for that was successful. Again, they were serializing it in Exciting Comics, so I didn't really continue letting them run the story. But that having been done, I'm now putting them in the format that they were intended to be as full issues. And again, if you back, you'll see that as an add-on for anyone who missed that. Yeah, corrections officers, superheroes. I'd seen police officers, of course, have a dragon and everything like that, but I hadn't really seen corrections officers, so I figured that was a good title to do because I had come across a number of them in my work, corrections officers. So I figured they needed a superhero of their own.
That was your day job, corrections officer, right? You retired now?
No, actually, police officer. So yeah, and at the time of doing comics and Argo comics, I was kind of doing that as a hobby with the comics, and yeah, it was like you're fighting crime by day and then writing about fighting crime by night. But some of our customers went into the hands of corrections officers, so I would get to talk to them and pick their brain and go to the jail. And
Mike wants to know, could he, for that $3,000, could he get his John D. Rocca Marshmallow done?
Yes, but I can't guarantee it'll be accepted as a Thunder Zone title. But yes, Captain Broccoli is on the way. He's going to be another book that someone will back.
And Kevin said, I'm kind of interested. The Weirdo, you have a character called the Weirdo?
Weirdo, again, did run in Exciting Comics. And I do have 2 issues of that, which we are going to release again through Kickstarter. And I guess the Weirdo already made an appearance in Pink Puma and Red Rooster #1, which is an Argo Comics title, but Weirdo is a dimension traveler. So that was actually the first Argo Comics Thunder Zone crossover, was Pink Puma, Red Rooster, with guest starring the Weirdo. And Weirdo will actually be in his own title, and we'll go with that directly through Kickstarter. Thunder Zone titles aren't really going to be running through Indie Planet because we're kind of going back and forth with the audience here and there, where people don't know where to pick things up. We're just going to focus Thunder Zone titles pretty much into Kickstarter, and I still have Argo 5 issues coming through Indie Planet.
Okay, Kevin also wants to, how does Argo 5 differ from your work in Exciting Comics?
Exciting Comics, well, Argo 5 is Argo Comics, so that's like an entirely different universe, and that's the Argo Comics universe is all characters created by myself. So Exciting Comics has been publishing some Thunder Zone material, which again, Thunder Zone is a universe where we have many different creators, but I would say the main difference Argo 5 again, 44 is at the number 44 is at the printer, and the work I've had in Exciting Comics have been more limited series I've been doing. So most of them are 4-issue series, Weirdo being a 2-issue, just one and done stories. So, and also in the fact that Argo Comics tends to concentrate on superhero teams, because those were always my favorite growing up. Justice League, Avengers, Teen Titans. I always liked the teams. So Argo Comics mostly has teams, whereas for the titles that I've been writing in Exciting Comics and Thunder Zone, those have been more towards single characters. So I've been kind of like scratching that itch by doing those titles over there.
So what one day you just woke up and said, I'm going to start making my own comics?
Yeah, again, back in the day, prior to publishing, and Cam will be able to attest to this, is the fact that I had these sketchbooks, and I just kept creating characters, many of which, again, made their way into Argo Comics. And yeah, I mean, I've seen some creators just go the route of they create their characters. Then it just seems like, especially on DeviantArt, just like running through an endless stream of commissions of their characters. I, for whatever reason, felt I wanted to do stories. There's nothing wrong with that. It's great to see different artists.
I'm just amazed because you're literally the first person that I ever know. But just like driving home from the comic book store, I'm going to make my own comic. Today, I'm doing it myself. A lot of people are doing it, but you did it first. It wasn't. You started your own company. Like you said, you wrote, drew, lettered, and colored. I think Argo 5 #1, right? You did it all, soup to nuts.
No, coloring I didn't do.
You didn't do
coloring, but yeah, coloring is you gotta have the right skills for that. I've done some, but I didn't do that one.
But it's just back then it was unheard of, like nowadays there's like crowd, because my comic, when it's ready to come out, I'm going to put it on Fund My Comic. It's a small rival to Indiegogo and Kickstarter, but you're familiar with it? Yeah, I've had Luke on my channel, and they're one of us. They're people who love comics, no shadow banning, no politics involved. Just as long as it meets the standard, it's going to be promoted and everything. And I like that. But when you started, you didn't have any help. There was no companies willing to help you and promote you. It was all yourself. And like I said, I remember meeting you, like after not seeing you for like a decade. Here I am. I bump into you at a comic convention, and you got quality comics just sitting on a table, and you're pushing comics. And I was like, holy mackerel! I could have done this if I wasn't so damn lazy. But
Yeah, it was a little challenging back then, in the fact that there wasn't really much internet, so we were buying all these self-publishing books and trying to gain the right information on how to get your own comic published. I did actually at first a couple sketchbooks, not sketchbooks, actually pinup specials with a printer, Dreamweaver in Queens. And those were pretty much just to copyright the names. So those were actually the first publications before Argo Comics Anthology #1 in 2006, I believe. So yeah, it was a learning process. Like that first pinup book kind of got me acquainted with, terms in printing, like, the correct file sizes and the trim area and stuff like that. And, again, just by keeping at it and by doing, you learn. So they say, what do you have to do? 1,000 hours or something before you're proficient or something like that, they say. Yeah. So, it was a road, but in actuality, in working in law enforcement, I was competing in drug-free bodybuilding, And I had to, at some point, respond. It was a volunteer basis because I wasn't actually working NYPD, but you were able to go there and help out at 9/11 in the aftermath. So in working in that and seeing many of my, brothers and sisters in law enforcement fall, I knew there was time to get all dreams accomplished.
Yeah, life is short. Yeah.
Yes. So that did add to some resolve to, get these books done. And, in that respect, it all like ties into each other. I mean, the bodybuilding, they're muscular people. The law enforcement, it was crime fighting. Comics blends those, it's like I seem to have different interests, but they're all kind of in the same giant sea of life here.
I agree with what Cam's saying. In a world where wannabe creators can't get past one issue, like I don't want to insult anybody, call them a wannabe if they only could get one, because for all I know, that's probably all I'll be able to get done. So, but I got to commend you. You're up to 44 on Argo 5.
44 is I'm lettering 44. Actually,
unbelievable. 40. How many Marvel and DC comics don't make it to 44? When are you going to reboot and start with number 1 with the whole new diverse cast?
Oh, you see, that's the thing. People always want to.
I'm joking with you. I hate that.
Yeah, they want to start with number 1, and it's like 6 issues. I'm so tired of this already. Let me just start with number 1 to gain readers. And I mean, back in the day, you wanted to see like issue 287 because you knew it had some staying power. It had some history.
It had some history. It made it feel important.
Yeah,
it made the gravitas.
Yeah, I agree with Cam there on the no reboot. It's kind of like it's pretty cool to be saying see issue 6.
Right. I love those editorial notes. I remember one of my friends who was getting into comics. He hated that it would say like see issue 85. He's like, what? They're trying to sell me something else? And I'm like, no, it's like history. Like when I read Fantastic Four 185, say, I don't even remember, like that they fought the Salem 7, and then they referred back to Agatha Harkness from 86. It made me feel that I was part of a big world that was important and real, and I could explore it. And even though I was missing that issue, it made this issue feel okay. It's based on something else, and like I don't know, I didn't see any difference between reading about the French Revolution and they're referring to Napoleon from a couple of years earlier, and then Fantastic Four referring to Agatha. It was fun, it made it feel cool. This is something else I could explore, So yeah, I like that.
You're on your way for that.
And took away from your time. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. I mean, it's your show.
But I just want to say this, Don, before I forget. Don, he has a comic called The Megastorm, and he messaged me last night going, Dan Sehn's going to be on your channel. Oh, he's a great guy. I think he worked with you.
Yes.
So he's like, I got to be here and watch. So
Don Draws.
Yeah. You know him. Okay, great. Dan's a good guy. Great Argo comic, produces some great content. Yep. Don seal of approval. Yeah. So
there you go.
It's a small world. Right? Yep.
Hail to Don. But you're going to be doing your comic, right?
Yes.
And you're going to have people saying, it was great action, but not enough characterization. I don't know if this guy likes butter on his popcorn. So there's always...
Spoiler alert, he likes butter on his popcorn. He's an all-American guy.
There's always going to be like, well, you had great characterization, but... And the action was good, but I didn't get couldn't you throw in a little comedy? So for everyone who just thinks, okay, I'll just do 4 issues, you're not really going to fit it in 4 issues. Right. You're not going to give the rich history of each character. I have Argo 5, so 5 characters. Kathira's origin got touched upon in issue 2. Blue Dynamo's origin got touched upon in issue 6. And then I think 19 had Shazrath's origin. 26, I'm going to say, as Gladiator's origin. So these were like,
that's the beauty of 44 issues is you have time to pace it out and tell the stories organically. Like my first issue, I don't know if I'll ever make a second issue. I know I'll make a first issue. I don't know if I'll make, so I'm just jumping into the story. And if you like it, there's going to be an origin later on. You know, I feel like origins, they only matter if the character has like staying power. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm gonna give you the first issue. If you like it enough to want to hear about the origin, I got that planned too for like issue 8 or something like that. But there you go. Again, I'm taking away from your time. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. But I'm just saying, in saying that, that one issue cannot be all things to all people.
Correct.
So
absolutely, and that's hard too. What do you cut out? You know, what do you cut out? That's you know,
you got to tell your story, the story that resonates with you, and if there's something that resonates with you, then your readership will be the people who it resonates with as well.
And far as criticism, I've been giving out the my script to people to check out. Everybody loves the art. Nobody's complaining about the art. I got Renzo Rodriguez drawing. It's outstanding. But it's funny hearing criticisms because Cam has the script now. You said you were going to read today, Cam. But some people like, oh yeah, you didn't tell the origin, and other people like, I like that you didn't tell the origin. So who do I listen to? And then the character he's a survivalist, the superhero. So throughout the course of the comic, he actually goes hunting and he kills an elk. One of the criticisms was that's not how you kill an elk. So that doesn't help me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, next time I talk to a super guy about
well, you can't have a character and not tell the origin in the first issue. I mean, there was this character, I thought he had potential, but he went nowhere because they didn't tell the origin for years. I think they called him like Wolverine or something.
Yeah, exactly. I got scared. I thought you were yelling at me.
No, not at all. I'm agreeing. I'm saying that, again, there's room for a lot of different things, and you can't just
look at Stan Lee. Like Kim says, he just thought Spider-Man was going to be a one-off. The first issue of the Fantastic Four, they didn't even have like costumes. You know what I mean? They were completely different. Who knows? It should be fun. But you're an inspiration. You started comics by yourself, which I imagine sitting on the Long Island Railroad, sitting home daydreaming, thinking up scripts and stuff. That's what I do.
Yeah, no, like I said, with I was lucky in those days, early grade school, to have Cam to bounce off, because I guess myself, Cam, Mike of Earth 2, Mike Earth 2, liking comics, maybe we had like some type of force field where the kids were like, comics, those are for babies. And we were like, oh, well, screw you. We're still reading them, and
see, you can tell this people, the youngins today, they don't realize it, but when we were kids, when I first I kind of hid my comics from other friends. Like I didn't let my friends know I played Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't let my other friends know I read comics. And I was on a football team in high school, and they just came over one day to come and get me. And I was laying on my bed. I fell asleep reading Daredevil, and the door opens up, and I'm like hiding the comics. They're like, "Oh wow, I love Daredevil. Oh look, the Avengers. I have the," and I'm like, "Oh okay,
Yeah, no, with the big budget films and the success of all those, people don't know that there was a time where like it was looked down upon to be reading a comic.
Right, especially in late high school. I mean, I remember kids that would come into the pulp, and then they would hide the comics in their backpacks or stuff them down their shirt to go home because they weren't allowed to have comics at home. You know what I mean? And now you can't even get kids to go into comic stores. Now it's the exact opposite. They got big budget movies and nobody's buying comics. At least Marvel and DC. Argo 5 will change that. Exciting comics will change that.
We'll
I think the time is right for. I think the next big hit is going to come from this independent side because Marvel and DC has been farmed to a depletion, if you ask me. You know, DC can't get a movie out. I don't know. They're just like stumbling out the gate. Marvel squandered what they did, and I think the studio execs, they're gonna see like Argo 5 or Cyber Frog or you know, or maybe my comic. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like that. It's kind of exciting. I think the next big thing is going to be out of left field, and we're left field.
Yeah, well, that remains to be seen. It's but yeah, traditionally there's been a I don't know, I guess with the streaming platforms and everyone trying to have a superhero in their stable, there's
Right.
a lot of things being optioned, and what gets optioned and what doesn't remains to be seen.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I think something new is on the horizon. I really do. I think right now we're at a nexus point where something big is going to happen. You watch the next 5 years. We're going to be like, yeah, John called it. So I asked you before, we kind of got sidetracked. Marshall Strong is going to make an appearance in what comic? I got to know, because he.
Yeah,
you know,
that'll
I
be.
was the GM and he was the character. I put that.
That'll be Marshall Strong, and that'll be, again, just like I have 2 releases in this Kickstarter. You'll have Marshall Strong and Nightclaw. Okay, that's a kind of like a werecat female character. So those 2 books will be the next Thunder Zone Kickstarter.
Oh,
I guess
really?
this is an exclusive here.
So
I may do an Argo Comics Kickstarter in between that, but that's the next Kickstarter because, as you know, Mike's been working on Marshall Strong for a while.
Yeah.
He's fine-tuned it, got it to the point where it's ready. And again, I have Nightclaw by Carlo Gardi.
Oh, cool.
So that book is complete as well. And that's what I want. I want to be dependable. I was like complaining to Cam about a couple campaigns that I'm still, waiting for the books. I like to have the books done, do the Kickstarter to pay for the printing, shipping, maybe a little of the art of the next issue, because the people who sometimes don't have the book complete, that Kickstarter money comes in, they're working to complete the book, and it's unfortunate, but bills come in, pair of fresh kicks are released, and the money seems to like dwindle away, and then they're trying to get more money now to print these books that you already paid for. I don't ever want to be in that pool.
Horror stories about that people made Kickstarters because they spent the money on. They made a second Kickstarter to finish the first Kickstarter because they spent the first. Yeah, I've been fortunate in whatever I backed, I've got so far. So I'm lucky. I guess I have radar sense.
Yeah, I mean, 7 campaigns, we completed them. We
shipped 7 campaigns already. Wow.
Yeah,
that's great.
We shipped on a timely basis, because again, the book's essentially being done. Some books that I kickstart, I already have the proof copy. So, in doing this for 20 years, I never had to disappear for a while because I, did something and didn't come through. Yeah. I take it seriously that if I had to print it out and get it to people at a loss, then I'm going to do that, because they're putting their trust in me, and at the end of the day, your name has to count for something.
Yeah. I mean, that's honorable. That's commendable, and that's a luxury that having it. Like I was talking about this with other people. Having a day job makes it so that you're not relying on the comic as your income. I think a lot of people are able to make comics because they have a good, decent job. You don't have to worry about your medical benefits and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that helped immeasurably as I was creating the comics because, going on print on demand and not being 3 Diamond, you're not looking at the numbers. It's a slow burn as the issues get sold. So yeah, your return on investment isn't coming right away. But again, I was doing that day job, and at this point,
Yeah, but
uh,
you loved comics and you wanted to make them. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's great. That I don't know. I find that to be a good thing. But I got to get going now. I try to keep these in now. I've learned from experience if you have the videos for too long, people don't watch them, but people will watch an hour video. So we'll stop now before we make it too long, and then people are like, I'm not going to watch an hour and a half. so
sure. Even with that Dan Sehn on,
yeah,
I can only take so much.
I'm just as bad as everybody else. So let's recap. You got the Kickstarter. I got the link in the description. And
Yeah.
where can we get your back issues? Directly from you. So send me that link and I'll put that in the description also.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send you that link. To the Argo Comics at Indie Planet.
Argo at Indie Planet. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Send it to me because I'll spell it wrong and then
Yeah, no. I'll definitely. It's more to the link than that, but I was just summarizing. But yeah, I'll definitely send the link so people can see that.
All right. And thank you. Thanks. It was great talk. Great catching up. Geez, it's
Yeah.
Mike put on Facebook that you had a Kickstarter campaign. I'm like, Dan, we were at the comic book store together, and I was like, oh yeah. I was like, so I said to Cam, I said, tell Dan to come on my channel. Let's talk. For two reasons. Plus, for two reasons. First, I know you. We've been going. It's great to catch up. Second, I think it's great to promote indie comics. You know what I mean? Anybody, and that goes for anybody watching. If you have an independent campaign, Marvel and DC don't need me, and I'm kind of bitter with them. That's like an ex-girlfriend. I don't want to talk about them. But anybody with an independent campaign, you come on, I'd love to talk about it. I get a kick out of it. I find it to be inspiring, and I do think, like I say it a million times, baseball, jazz, comic books. These are American art forms, and I think we need to keep them going. It's important. So what you're doing is important. Thank you, Mike. And Mike, you got to come over here more often. Jimmy's dying. Jimmy's my only other player. He's only got one character to fight all the bad guys. He's getting his face beat up. We need Marshall Strong to come and help Jimmy fight bad guys.
Yeah,
and you too, Dan, come on down. I've been joking that I want to get a bunch of indie guys at my house to play V&V and make up their own characters. So you could be Ultra, right? Is that your character?
Ultra, yeah.
So you make up Ultra.
DC had an Ultra. He was the only
Ultra, the
superhero of Earth Prime.
Yeah.
So I don't want to step on their
You
toes.
make up Ultra. Cam, I don't know who you would be, but we all play as our comic book characters, and I'll run a game for everybody. But thanks a lot, everybody. I got to get going. Thank you, Dan, for talking. It was a blast.
Thank you.
And anytime you want to come back, next time you have a campaign or anything, just hit me up, and glad I will gladly talk about it if I could get words out of my mouth. So
no, most definitely. I appreciate being on.
No problem. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.